air changing my voice. This video is about Isaiah 42, and we'll connect it to Isaiah 53. It's also about the Nigerian persecution of Christians, where somewhere around 100,000, I've seen an estimate of 125,000 Christians have been killed since 2009, and they say that right now Nigeria is the epicenter of Christian persecutions. I've been saying for a long time that Nigerians are seen as blacker than black, right? So if black people are soul brothers, Nigerians are the soul brothers of soul brothers, and then there's the Igbo tribe, right? Igbo is Obi spelled backwards. Kira Obi means black belt. Obi means King Heart Hut Essence Center Temple Core. Okay. So let's understand something here real quickly here, and then we'll continue. God is the essence of righteousness, the essence of the right answer, and the essence of a cause worth letting people get killed for. No amount of casualties are too high, as it is universal pinpointed moral precision, right? God's spirit is universal pinpointed moral precision. So it's universal pinpointed moral precision that is the cause. So first and foremost, because God is God, no amount of casualties is too high. So again, God is the essence of righteousness, the essence of the right answer, the essence of a cause worth letting people get killed for, and more. No amount of casualties are too high, as it is universal pinpointed moral precision that is the cause. And that is that because of God. God made universal pinpointed moral precision. God's cause is the cause, so no amount of casualties are too high. Now, why did I put it that way? Well, because there's agnostics and atheists who would start crying about how it's religious fanaticism. But it's also universal, right? It's universal pinpointed moral precision. So what is exactly right? So if it is exactly right to let people die for what is right, then no number is too high. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, if what is right to let everyone die on the planet, universally speaking, that's what is exactly right. That is what is pinpointed when it comes to what is right, then it's right. That's not religious fanaticism. That's logic. That's sound logic. That's deductive reasoning, right? That's sound reason. That is logical thinking. It's part of why they're filming right now, to try to make it sound confusing, but it's very simple. Also consider how many animals die in nature and how much more moral a deer is than the average human. This means even to an agnostic with some semblance of sense or better, causing everyone to die while doing what is precisely and absolutely right, universally speaking, is what is wise. It's what is smart, it's what is wise, it's what is right. On top of all this, why does anyone think that life in the flesh is preferred? What do they base that on? Mere emotion. Therefore, it is universal, pinpointed moral precision versus the mere emotions of the immoral. Those are the two sides of the debate. To live universal, pinpointed moral precision is infinitely greater than to merely come up with this explanation. So in other words, it's not enough to point this out, right? You have to live it. And if someone else came up with this first, so what? Did they actually live this? Are they the top martial arts ever possible? That's what's key here. So now let's look at Ezekiel 30, verse 3. For the day is near, the day of the Lord is near, a day of clouds, a time of doom for the nations. A time of doom for the nations. Now, if you're in the military of, say, China or America or Israel or wherever, Nigeria, are you clicking your heels at this verse? Probably not, because you've dedicated yourself to the nations and not to universal pinpoint and moral precision. So what is greater, the spirit and the cause of your nation, or universal pinpoint and moral precision? They know they lose They know they lose on a spiritual level, on a deep level, on a romantic level, on a moral, mental, spiritual, and romantic level. And specifically, they also know that they lose on the level of logic, just straightforward logic. How could any nation's agenda on this corrupt planet be greater than universal pinpointed moral precision? And on top of that, they're making it harder for me to speak by persecuting me and fuming me and poisoning me. I have 23 witnesses on record. Very straightforward. So not only are they not winning anything worthwhile as they slaughter these Christians in Nigeria, they're also proving my point. The place where my father comes from, which I've been going on and on about, is the most spiritual, has the most spiritual people on the planet, is a place that they made the epicenter of Christian martyrdom. Think about that. You know them by their works. Who's dying for God? Is it you? Is it Israelis? No, they're persecuting Christians to some degree in Israel, as the story goes, right? And you hear these stories, right? Is it America? They won't give me my free speech. Is it America's? No. There's more people in America than Nigeria, but the epicenter of Christian martyrdom is in Nigeria, not because Americans are going there and martyring themselves, because the true Christian tribe of all tribes, at this critical point, and the other Christians in the area in northern Nigeria, are the ones that are put at risk, are the ones who are dying, are the ones who are being threatened when every nation is sold out to the devil to a T. What does that tell you? So now let's keep that in mind when we look at the idea of the true servant, Jeshurun, the upright one, versus Jacob, who's referred to as a worm in Isaiah, whose name means to supplant, to overreach, by default to try to cheat somebody out of something else. Excuse me, out of something. Here is my servant whom I uphold, my chosen one in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will bring justice to the nations. Now, is the spirit of denying the people in Gaza food a spirit of justice? Now, some people will say, well, they sent them so much food. Why didn't they protect the trucks? Why didn't they reach out to the international community to protect the food trucks in the Gaza? Because they're not in the spirit of God. And they're part of the global alliance that is persecuting Christians in Nigeria. And I'll debate you on that anytime. The reason why I say it this way is because some people have made the ridiculous argument that we're going to disprove definitively that the Jews magically as a people are magically chosen. That's insane. Many of them are atheists and Satanists, but they think that they together are magically the servant of God. That's because they're from the cult of the flesh, not the spirit. The spirit is everything, the flesh means nothing. Out of these stones, God can raise up children for Abraham. The kingdom of heaven will be taken away from you and given to a people who will produce its fruit, and so on and so forth. For example, Proverbs 17, real quick. A prudent servant will rule over a disgraceful son. Are the Jews doing something profoundly spiritual and righteous? No. So as we look at the entire Jewish diaspora, did they give us the top martial arts ever possible? No, but the Lord is a warrior. How could that be? With all their money and power, is a Jew pronounced as a very righteous person? No. But there's many synagogues all over the world. How could that be? Because they're not the chosen. The upright one is Jeshurun. And Jeshurun is very similar to the word Jesus. And there's no J sound, and many times they replace it with Y. They say Yeshua and stuff like this, right? Bear with me. So if we replace the J with the Y, we get yes, you, run, and an H. So yes, you, not run. Now we see in the Klan, they used to chase black people, and the Klan was made up of whites, and they accepted Jews to a large degree, though on record, they were said to be anti-Semitic, but it's not that simple. If you look at the Klan, and you look at the pictures, you'll see many people who look nearly identical to Jews, and I'm told by Jews that's because they are Jews. And the Jews also own slaves. So it's safe to say part of the fraternities, part of the Klan, almost certainly, and I'm satisfied that's the case, we're part of the hunt. The word hunt is like the word haunt, for a reason. The Holy Spirit haunts them. And again, regardless of race, if you want to obey God through me, you can rally and obey God through me. And they would hunt these people. So you think it's a coincidence that Jeshurun becomes yes, you run when we apply what may very well be occult wordplay, which comes from the Western occult, including token minorities, Freemasons, Black Hebrew Israelites, whoever else uses the word Yeshua. And I've seen Jews use it, New Age people, what have you. Not a coincidence. It's saying, yes, you're right, now run. And the word Jacob is like the word Jack, Obi meaning King, Heart, Hut, Essence, Center, Temple, Core. And Yamaka has the letter Y and the word Amika, which is another way to say Emeka, which is my name. Ameka, Emika, Amika. Why Amika? Where in Yamaka? Rabbi, like the word rabbit. Yes, you run. And we see that there's countless wordplay in the Bible, like the word Moses means to draw out, and he was drawn out of the water. We see that Rahab is said to be a cryptogram for Babylon in the book of, I believe it's Jeremiah. There's lots of things like that in the Bible. Anagrams and cryptograms. Coded language. We see in Revelation it says the water stands for the peoples, the nations, the multitudes, and the languages. Now I'm going to go way over time, so let's just keep going here. So I will put my spirit on him and he will bring justice to the nation. Can you imagine the Jewish people bringing justice to this planet? Or any people after my flesh dies? It's not going to be done. No people on this planet, regardless of race. It's just me. No one else could bring justice. They haven't been bred to bring justice. They've been bred to be conformists and mediocre. Not some mighty warrior who brings justice. That's not them. He will not shout or cry out or raise his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Now keep in mind that when Christ came as a character in the story, he was yelling out. He yelled out to God, he yelled at the moneylenders, yelled at the Pharisees, what have you. So it's not talking about literally. In faithfulness he will bring forth justice. He will not falter or be discouraged till he establishes justice on earth. No one else is pushing for justice. They have propaganda religions, propaganda national arguments. Like the propaganda of Israel, right? Political Zionism, what have you. In his teaching, the islands will put their hope. And of course, the islands has to do with the islands, the rivers turning into islands, right? It's talking about something else. The islands on the new, in the new earth. Another way to interpret it is anybody who seems like the most righteous people in the Philippines or some island place, Hawaii, wherever. That what that's superimposed on, what comes to mind, that in its pure form would have put their hope into me. There's a lot of ways to interpret this, mind you. It has to be within the boundaries of what's true, obviously. This is what the Lord God says, the creator of the heavens, who stretches them out, who spreads out the earth with all that springs from it, who gives breath to its people and life to those who walk on it. I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness. I will take hold of your hand. I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the Gentiles. Now stop right there. What is the covenant? Is the covenant some kind of ark that's built from material? Or am I the covenant? Say, I will take hold of your hand. I will keep you and make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the Gentile. What's the light of God? Me. What's the covenant for the Gentile? Me. The monarch and the ark of the covenant and the ark of the strike. Striking down on their heads. The whirlwind of the Lord, the storm of the Lord coming down on their heads. Lightning striking. Me striking with a club or a sword. Angels and angles. The word and the sword. Now can you imagine someone else trying to explain it this way? They're propaganda-like. I'm not, so they change the sound of my voice and try to make it sound corny. But those of you who are paying attention know that I'm right. To open the eyes of those, to open eyes that are blind, to free captives from prison, to release from the dungeon those who sit in darkness. I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not yield my glory to another or my praise to idols. Am I supposed to yield my glory to another? No. Am I supposed to praise their lies and join them? No. Praise, P-raise. See, the former things have taken place, and new things I declare before they spring into being. I announce them to you. Okay, so God had said through nature and the prophets that things were going to go a certain way. And they have gone that way, partially because the people who worship the devil were hell-bent to make it proceed that way as part of their rituals. But God in Ezekiel says that he's going to inspire them to do that because they're so evil and they choose idols. He's going to use them as a tool, as a stepping stone. And of course, they're messing up their own rituals. I can't stress this enough. They're not supposed to persecute me. Not since the 80s. And in terms of doing God's work, they're never supposed to persecute me. Okay. So think about what would Jesus do versus what would the arrogant do. And God making me a covenant. So now you have Christ as the head and Christ as the body. So Jeshurun, the upright one, the one person who's upright, the one soul. And then you have the body of Christ, anyone who obeys God through me. So God is saying to them, you must choose, right? The cross and the crossroads. Either you will just simply be Jacob, a worm headed for hell, or you'll obey God through me and be brought to heaven. And that is before my flesh dies. This is very key here, because they're too arrogant to humble themselves is key in their problem. Song of praise to the Lord. Sing to the Lord a new song, his praise from the ends of the earth, you who go down to the sea and all that is in it, you island and all who live in it. Let the wilderness and its town raise their voices. Let the settlements rejoice. Let the people of Selah sing for joy. Let them shout from the mountaintops. Let them give glory to the Lord and proclaim it. And proclaim his praise to the island. The Lord will march out like a champion, like a warrior. He will stir up his zeal. With a shout, he will raise the battle cry and will triumph over his enemies. You think the people who wrote this pictured a bunch of modern soldiers picking on people with less weaponry and fighting a mere war against a relatively small band of terrorists? No, that is not what this is about. Or teaming up with the most mighty nation on this planet. God said time and time again, he said, not by world flesh-based might, but by my spirit. And woe to those who rely on technology in the flesh and on the Spirit of God. Do you think the Spirit of God made technology? Perhaps you think it made Nazi technology or communist technology. It's talking about the top martial artist ever possible. Like father, like son. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name, Exodus 15:3. The Lord will march out like a champion, like a warrior. He will stir up his zeal. With a shout, he will raise the battle cry and will triumph over his enemies. Will triumph over. How? By teaming up with America and pushing people around? By being American and using technology and running sobs on people? No. All victories are in principle. He will triumph in a way that's similar to Christ on the cross. That's the symbol of Christianity, not a bunch of people with technology. He will triumph over them by doing God's work on the highest level, while the leaders they follow are mere punks. There is no other way to look at this. None. I'll debate you on that anytime, anywhere. As long as I'm still here in the flesh. For a long time I've kept silent. I have been quiet and held myself back, but now, like a woman in childbirth, I cry out, I grasp and pant. I will lay waste the mountains and their hills and dry up all their vegetation. I will turn rivers into islands and dry up the pools. I will lead them by ways they have not known, along unfamiliar paths. I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. It's talking about those who obey God through me, who go to the new heaven and the new earth. It'll be made clear by the end of this chapter. We're almost done with this chapter. Really quickly, I want to go back to Selah. So I said that a couple of videos ago that I was going to speak on this. Let the people of Selah sing for joy, right? The word Selah is a word for seal. We see it in Revelation 18, where he says, look at these people who still remain on earth. Okay, the smoke from their torment will rise forever and ever. Then there comes Revelation 19, and they get hit by Christ, by me, by my soul, and by the righteous. And that's being after the 7 bowls and 7 trumpets, mind you. Then they get hit again in Revelation 20. And they get sealed in. It has to do with the lays. The word seal is a play on words for lays. And seals is a play on words for sealass. And then you have the American knave, right? The knave meaning villain. Knave seals. And they're running a sop on me with the American military. This is something that Satanists have planned through the nations of the world for a long time now. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so, but those who trust in idols, who say to images, you are our gods, will be turned back in utter shame. So is it talking about saving all the Jews? No. Is it saying that the Jewish people collectively are the servant of the Lord? No, not the servant that delivers, the one who was supposed to serve God in the story. Not the servant that is the Savior. That is me. Again, but those who trust in idols, who say to images, you are our gods, will be turned back in utter shame, Jew and Gentile alike. And Isaiah goes on and on about it all throughout Isaiah. In fact, Isaiah chapter 1 is about how the Jews are the children of corruption. Read it. They're quick to betray God. Israel, blind and deaf. Hear you deaf, look you blind, and see. Who is blind but my servant, and deaf like the messenger I send? Who is blind like the one who is in covenant with me? Now stop here. Is it talking about the covenant itself? No, it's not talking about Jeshurun. It's not talking about me. Earlier it said, I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the Gentile. I'm the covenant, the light. But those who are supposed to obey God through me, right, especially the Jews, they're blind, spiritually speaking. They're deaf, spiritually speaking. They're not using their heads. And time is almost up. And no matter what, no one should reproduce. Okay, so again, who is blind but my servant, and deaf like the messenger I send? Who is blind like the one who is in covenant with me, right? So when it says the messenger, in that context, in that case, in that instance, they're talking about the Jewish people in the story and not the Messiah, me. Okay. Blind like the servant of the Lord, what happened? You have seen many things, but you pay no attention. Your ears are open, but you do not listen. It pleased the Lord for the sake of his righteousness to make his law great and glorious. But this is a people plundered and looted, all of them trapped in pits or hidden away in prisons. They have become plunder with no one to rescue them. They have been made loot with no one to say send them back. Right? There will be no one to redeem them after my flesh dies. Which of you will listen to this or pay it close attention in time to come? Which goes back to Isaiah 53 verse 1, right? It says, who has believed our message in time to come? To whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? The arm of the Lord, again, the manner of waging war, right? Spiritual war, the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. A martial is marital scramble, and I Christ and the bridegroom. Not worldly war, which we all know is very profane, evil, fighting for corporations, what have you. And that includes, people who aren't in the military or police, people who are gang members, people who are just fighting for the flesh of their family, right? And so they cut it off there because they know that I'm right? Military people do not fight for God, and what they're doing is very disrespectful as they're in rebellion against God, and they're running a sop on me with every American group you can imagine. And I'm sure we can agree that they can't then turn around and say, well, why are you disrespecting us? First of all, it's God's command to disrespect you. Secondly, you're disrespecting me, and you should see that I'm right by now. Okay. Now, where was I here? Again, which of you will listen to this or pay close attention in time to come? Who handed Jacob over to become loot, Israel to be plundered, right? To be plundered. Was it not the hand against him was it not the Lord against whom we have sinned? For they would not follow his ways, they did not obey his laws. So he poured out on them his burning anger, the violence of war. It enveloped them in flames, yet they did not understand. It consumed them, but they did not take it to heart. And you see in Ezekiel where it says that they have been in rebellion to this day. So all the way from their beginning, all the way to the prophet Ezekiel, They were in rebellion, and the other prophets say the same thing. And so it is to this day. They are in rebellion.